and welcome back to my book nook. So this is a very much impromptu timing of this video. I have been talking about how I wanted to film this video and whatnot, and I just realized I have the house to myself for anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour plus. I don't know right now. My daughter is over at my sister's house having a play date, and my husband's getting a crown put on, so I have the house to myself other than the dogs. So you know what? We're just going to go ahead and we are going to finally film my book collection, my bookshelves, my TBR audit, all of the unread books that I have, etc., etc. You will be hearing my ceiling fan in the background of this video. I do apologize. I'm hoping that my mic is kind of canceling out that audio. However, it's going to be a high of 91 today, and let's be real, I am not going to be sweating and dying in my own house for a YouTube video that I'm not getting paid for. But either way, we are going to jump in to my shelves, and I'm going to do the best that I can to show you everything to the best angles that I have. I will also have to go handheld, and I'm just going to show you, I have books in random spots as well. And it is what it is. So I'm just going to take you along. I think I'm going to mostly just show you my main shelves and the ones in my kitchen because those are the main ones. Everything else is decorative, and honestly, yeah, we're just going to do that. We're going to show you my main shelves, my main book collection, but do know I do have a few other books that are more like bits and bobs in random places. But I think it's less than like 20 books. So either way, let's jump into this because this is going to be a very long video. So I am now standing on my daughter's step ladder thing that she uses to wash her feet because I'm really short, and when I just tried to film this, even on my tiptoes, I was like barely visible. So we're now standing on the stepladder to show you my top shelves. So I'm going to show you these two shelves, and then I'm going to flash up to my top shelf. We're gonna talk about that before I actually show you that one. But anyways, let's go with this shelf. So this is, my window that I have. You know what? We're just gonna stand. No, you can't. We're not, because then you can't see my face and it's just my chest and it's gonna be weird. All the way in the corner, we have some classics. So I have, ignore my fake plants. What do I have? I have Alice in Wonderland. I think that's first and the second one. Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, Grimm's Fairy Tale Adventures in Greek Mythology. Those are, you can't even see. Either way, I have those books. I'm not moving all this so that I can show those right now. I bought those when I found out I was pregnant. So those are technically the first ever books that I bought for my daughter. And I'm very, it's just one of those things. They're more like, I don't know when she would ever read those, if she would ever be interested in reading those. She is a big reader and she loves reading. But those are just like the first books that I officially bought when I found out I was pregnant, and with the mind of these are for her. I also will be like briefly showing you her shelf, like her books that we have here on these shelves, but she also has like a bookshelf in her room. I'm not going to show those unless people are really interested. Either way, the next up I have the Chronicles of Narnia series. Ooh, those are a little hard to get out of right now, so we're just going to leave them there. I do have all 7 books. Those are from my childhood. You can see books 1 through 5 have like cracked spines and damage. So I know for a fact as a child I read through books 1 through 5. Books in 6 and 7, I can't remember if I read them or not. Eventually, this year actually, I do believe I want to like reread all of those, so that'll be fun. Then I have my Percy Jackson series that you can see right here. Again, these books are hard to get out. So also this shelf is pretty much all read. So you're not missing out on much right now. I promise I will show individual covers when I can actually easily stand. Percy Jackson, I could have sworn that I had read through the entire series. However, books for sure 4 and 5 are a little fuzzy. Like part of me is just like, did I read those or did I just like think I read those? Either way, again, I also want to reread that series. Next up, we have the Gallagher Girl series. This is not the editions that I read because I actually read my friend's copies. And then I started collecting the plaid ones and realized those were really hard to find. So I eventually just bought a box set. But these are the Gallagher Girl series by Allie Carter. I loved these. I read these in middle school. Absolutely loved them. If you couldn't tell, these are my books that I read in middle school and whatnot. Possibly high school for some of these, but I think most of these were, in fact, middle school. Then followed up with the selection series. I did technically read this as an adult with my YouTube channel back, I think, in 2019, 2020. Yeah, because I definitely was filming, I think, during lockdown. But this is the selection series. I only had the first 3 books. In my mind, that is where the series ends. These are guilty pleasure reads. They're not great, but they're fun. You know what? We're going to go out of frame now. And then I have my Ugly series by Scott Westerfeld. These were my childhood favorite books of all time. Um, we're gonna show, this was like one of my favorite books. This is so beat up and damaged. The front cover is like barely holding on, but I absolutely loved these books. I did buy a replacement for that book to read years ago, but I actually still haven't, even to this day, I have not actually cracked open this version. So eventually, I don't know if I'm going to keep this particular one, because this was just to be able to read the series and not destroy my books, but we'll see. Then from there, you can't see it very well, so I'm gonna pull out, but I have Hatchet. This is by Gary Paulson. Yeah, I think it's Gary Paulson. Yeah, Gary Paulson. This was a book that I read in elementary or middle school. This is the 30th anniversary edition. It's like it's like a leather notebook that like somebody would have with them, they're writing, and there's like illustrations and whatnot. I had a different version, and when this version came out, I got rid of the omnibus, or it was like a bind up of like multiple books by him. I didn't really care, and I didn't want to keep all the other ones, so I just sold that and bought this 30th anniversary edition. Then I have Bridge to Terabithia. I read this as a kid. I found it at a little free library. I want to reread it, see about possibly having it for my kiddo. Then, I do have these coins that live on this shelf. These are, I think the gold ones are from Paris. Yes, the gold ones are from when we went to Paris, Disneyland Paris. And then the silver ones are from Disneyland, California, when my mom went in November. This is a book that I found at a thrift store that I think is from the 30s. Yeah, 1937. That is also signed. And it's just one of those weird, bizarre books that like, this is definitely just a collector's piece of just like the history of like hairdressers and hair tools and what. It's very scientific. Like, I just absolutely would not be able to read this. It is in slightly rough shape, but considering this is almost 100 years old, this is I think 90-something years old, it's old. And so that is a collector piece that I have. And then what is this last book that I have up here? Oh, and then I have one of those Google image books that my husband made for me, I think on one of our anniversaries. So yeah, this is this top shelf. All right, we're gonna talk about this really quick. These are the books that are on the top of my shelves. I am not going to be arguing about my books in the comments. Over here, I have the Ink Death trilogy. I think it's now been 4 books, but I read those as a kid. Absolutely love them. I tried to reread Inkheart early, I think ended last year, and decided that that series is very long, and I don't like. The books are a little bit too long for my taste. Oh yeah, I could just stand up here. Hello, I forgot. So yeah, I just have them, but these are more so collectors. Then I have Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. It's kind of like Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy, but they turned lovers. Harry Potter parody spoof thing. I don't know. That's the best way I can describe it, and that was kind of how it was like pitched to me. I really enjoyed the first one. The second one was like and then the third one I don't think I actually. Yeah, I think the third one I started reading and then like DNF'd after like 20 pages and whatnot. So I got rid of books 2 and 3, but I kept book 1 because I really enjoyed book 1. Then I have Harry Potter. We're going to talk about this book. I do not support J.K. Rowling. Anything she's done, anything she said, this is a safe place for the LGBT community and all that. However, Harry Potter was a very big part of my life. At one point, I had 8 full sets of this collection, like of the series. Like I had different like I was collecting them and whatnot, and then I had like 12 more in the works. And when everything came out, that was really hard. Like I processed it and whatnot, and I got rid of all of my series except one that I keep for nostalgia purposes. But I do not have any plans to reread it or anything like that. But I am struggling to get rid of it because of J.K. Rowling. So she's not getting any more money, and these live on my shelves. No one really sees them. So those are those books. We're gonna keep going. This is the first Harry Potter in Spanish that I found at a little free library a while ago. Again, that's like a collector piece. Now I'm blocking them. How's that? Okay, and then I have The Giver and Gathering Blue. I think that's books 1 and 3 in a series. I don't remember. But I had those books from my childhood. My grandma was a teacher, and she gave me those when I was like in elementary school or whatnot. They're not great books, but they're literal books from my childhood that I'm not going to get rid of. Then we have The Raven Cycle. Yeah, the Raven Cycle. I was like down to myself. I read this as an adult, but I really enjoyed it. These are YA books, which is why they're up here with my collection. These books I really enjoy, and also because they're on the top, I do not want to pull any of these off. But I really enjoyed the series. I have actually read it twice now, I think, back like the entire series through twice now. Really enjoyed it. Possibly could see myself rereading it for a third time. But either way, then I have The Afterlife of Holly Chase. That is one of the few holiday books that I have. It is YA or middle grade. I think it's YA. But our main character, she basically dies and becomes a ghost of Christmas present. I think she becomes one of the Christmas ghosts. It's a spin on A Christmas Carol. It's great. The Girl in Red by Christina Henry. My husband bought that for me on one of his trips that I was unable to go to. He went to, maybe that was Powell's. I don't think that was Powell's. But either way, he bought that book for me. It was not my favorite book of all time, but because he bought it specifically for me as a gift, thinking I would really like it, and I have the room, I'm still going to keep it. It's for sentimentality. Then I have these 3 plays that I collected from years ago. So I have Peter Pan, To Kill a Mockingbird, and then Sophocles, the Thesbin plays, I think. Either way, they're old plays that I thought were cool, and so I have some books that are literally just collector pieces. Then I have You by Carolyn Kepnes. I really, really enjoyed that first book. It was freaky, but I enjoyed it. I have not continued on with it. I have heard that it does not get great. And so for me, that is a one and done series. I enjoyed it. And then I have my 3 Agatha Christie books up here. You'll also see these are where the like mass market paperbacks are, because they're really annoying to store on my shelves with the rest of my books, which is why they're up here. So I have my 3 Agatha Christie books that I still have, and then Water for Elephants. That is a book that I absolutely loved when I read it in middle school, high school. I don't fully remember when I read it, but I did read it as a, adolescent. Really enjoyed it, read it multiple times. I still own my movie that I got, like my DVD that I got of it. And I really enjoyed it. I've watched the movie multiple times and really enjoyed it. I love the circus and whatnot. So that is a book that I really enjoyed, and I do want to actually reread that one at some point. Just not that book because it's mass market paperback. Either way, I'm getting really tired of being on this step ladder, so we're going to drop down. We're going to talk about this bookshelf, the shelf really quick, and then we're going to be able to drop down so I can show you. We're just going to, hello. Perfect. Huzzah! Okay, so we're going to stand here. Up next, I have the entire Maximum Rides series. I think. Yes. I think this is the end of the Maximum Ride series. I don't think he's continued on with it. There is a spin-off series that I am not reading. This was along with the Ugly series. These are all by James Patterson. I can't remember if I said that. But these were one of my favorite series growing up. Absolutely love these. And when I stopped reading, I think Angel was the last one that I had read kind of like as they were coming out, and then I thought that was done, or maybe Nevermore. I think Nevermore, actually, because you could see that's a hardcover and that's paper. So I think maybe Nevermore was where it ended. I thought the story was done, and then found out years later, like at least 5+ years later, hey, he had came out with another book, and so I bought that one. I honestly don't really remember much of what happens in the back half of the series nearly as much as the front half, because that front half I read so many times. There's definitely can't tell on these particular editions, but I absolutely love these. But yes, this is the Maximum Ride series by James Patterson. Absolutely love and adore this series. Also, all of these books that I've shown you so far are read, so my TBR count right now is 0. All of these are read. The rest of this bookshelf will be read too. Then after that, I have the Maximum Ride manga books. There are only, I'm going to verify, I do look every like 3 or 4 years, basically, it seems like at this point, to see if he has ever continued on with this series. But as of right now, there are only 9 books in the manga collection. I do have them up here instead of with the rest of my comics and mangas because my child likes the comics and the mangas. She just likes looking at the pictures. And these are a little bit, they're harder to find. And I can't as easily replace these, and they are more collector child nostalgia. So I have these out of her reach, which is why they're on the top shelf. But I have definitely read all these multiple times. Honestly, I could see myself rereading these this year just because they're fun reads. Then I had The Maze Runner. Also, you're going to see random bits and bobs throughout. These are just how my shelves look realistically. I have different remotes for different things that I don't want my child to have access to. I have headphones. Again, things that I need out of reach of a 3-year-old who is going to be probably taller than I am when she is fully grown. But you're just going to see the stuff. This is the realistic look at my shelves. Then I had The Maze Runner by, is it James Ashner? James Ashner. I only had the first book. I read the second book, and then I think I started the third book, or I just really kept not wanting to read it. And so I just decided that the YA dystopian era, I have really kind of outgrown that phase of reading in my life. And so The Maze Runner for me is the only book that I have in that in this collection still, but I really did enjoy it. Then I have my Twilight collection by Stephanie Meyer. So I have Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn, and then I do, for collector's purposes, have Life and Death and Midnight Sun. Midnight Sun I started reading properly last year, and then just I got 100 pages in and I was just like, I'm tired of this, because it's also longer than Twilight, which is crazy. So I stopped reading it. Midnight Sun, I believe, was the one, if I remember correctly, that was leaked years ago, and I had read the leaked stuff online. Life and Death, I don't think I've ever read. Eventually, I do think I will be rereading these, but this was another series that I absolutely loved and adored. You could see definitely some damage on the cover from being in my backpack, in and out and whatnot, but this one is signed. This was my first book that I ever had signed. So this was Peter Fasinelli, I think it's his last name, but it's Dr. Cullen. He came to my when I was in high school, he came to my local mall for a signing, and so I brought this book and I had him sign it. This was the first ever book that I had signed. It is also the only book that I have personalized, but I absolutely love and cherish and adore this book. And I haven't read them in a while. I have since reread these as adults, but I do kind of want to reread them again. I also really want to rewatch the movies, but that is neither here nor there. But yes, these are technically the top 3-ish shelves of my books. They're all read. They're all so my TBR is currently 0. Let's drop down so I can give you a better look at this shelf that has no books on it. You know what? Okay, you can see I'm like flat-footed right now. I'm a short human being. You know what? I just realized we're not gonna mess with this camera. I'm gonna talk through this shelf. This is my K-pop shelf. When I got the shelves for my kitchen and whatnot, and as I got into K-pop and started collecting, I wanted a shelf for K-pop. So this is my shelf. These 3 binders are filled with photo cards. Technically, the brown ones are, so this one is my ATEEZ one, just because I know the order that I keep it on. It's got a pirate ship on it. Then this one is a compass for Stray Kids. You can see if you know anything about either of the groups, you understand why I chose those books for that. And then this one is the green one with the pirate ship, because I really like it, because it's also got the book. This one is the one that has my actual official photo cards in it that I've gotten from albums and whatnot, and then also buying them secondhand. And then for space and filler, I do have other Lomo cards. So Lomo cards, you know, the fan-made cards. But these are the 3 binders that I have of all of my photo cards right now. Then technically I do have one book here. This is my Korean for K-pop fans book that I am using because I am teaching myself Korean, and I really wanted a physical book to help me. And so it lives on this shelf right now because I have the space, and it just fits very nicely. So that is here. And then I have all of my albums. So these are my 3 Stray Kids albums that I have right now in order from when they were released. So this one is their pre-debut. Then I have Karma and then Do It. And then these are all my ATEEZ albums. I'm not going through all of them right now because I'd have to actually physically look at all of them. But if you actually really want to see a close-up, let me know. Maybe I'll do a YouTube Shorts or a quick video or whatnot. Then I have my little bokori that my friend bought for me. He's got a little freebie keychain that says yo, so for Yo-song, on his hand, because I had one on my purse and then it broke. And so I'm really happy that this one's here, so he's safe. And then my Felix photo card. This is actually on display for, so for my birthday, we went and saw the Stray Kids movie, and this somebody was a freebie that somebody was handing out that my husband actually got for me because he was in the concessions line when they were passing them out, and I was in our seats, and so he got this for me, and he remembered that my bias is Felix. So that is on display just because, like, I have a really nice, thoughtful husband. In here, I don't want to open it up right now, but I have kind of like bookmarks and other goodies that came from these that could either be bookmarks or stickers or something like that that fit in here that are not in the actual albums themselves. And then I have my Lightini I think I have batteries in it, so I in theory could turn it on, but I really don't want to take it out of the stand that I got from Etsy. But this is my K-pop shelf, and I really love it, and it's glorious. And again, if you want a full breakdown of that shelf, let me know. But like honestly, I have to like speed run through all these books before my husband gets home. So we're going to rotate, boop, to the next shelf. All right, now, again, I'm just really short. We're just gonna deal with this. You can see, again, realistically, I have my knitting projects that live on this shelf, right? Or like on my shelf. So this is the beanie that I'm knitting for my husband. This is with fingering weight yarn. It's also silk yarn, but it's super duper tiny. You can see how thin that yarn is. So this is the beanie. Also, like, look at the little blueberries. Aren't they just adorable? Anyways, we're gonna move that down so we can see this shelf easier. But we have the, what is this series called by Emily McIntyre? I don't remember. But it's Never After. They're on the books. The Never After series. So I have Hooked. Again, I have a plant in the way. I'm not going to pull these all out right now. I have Hooked, Scarred. I have the whole series, I think. Hooked, Scarred, Wretched, Twisted, Crossed, and Hexed. I have read the first 3. So I have my first books that are unread on my TBR. So we have officially the first 3 books that I have on my bookshelves that are not read are all by Emily McIntyre. We have Twisted, Crossed, and Hexed from the Never After series. Then also by Emily McIntyre is Burning Daylight. This is also unread. I originally had pre-ordered this and then canceled it because at the time I just had too many books, and I found this when I went book shopping one day, and I saw it and I saw the pretty edges, and I was like, you know what? I have the time, I have the space, let's do it. Then next up I have When the Tides Held the Moons by Vanessa Vita Kelly. This is face out because I really, really, really enjoyed and loved this book. It was basically circus with mermaids, and it was just great, and I loved it. And if you have not read it, go read it. It was talked about in the Goodreads Choice Awards. They absolutely deserve to have that there. Then I have my Anna Wong collection, which you're going to see here in a second. It's a little massive. From this series, we have The Striker and The Defender. I've currently started The Striker. I technically should have, by my rules, canceled my pre-order of The Defender, but I really like Anna Wong's books. So I didn't do that. The third book is called The Keeper. That comes out later this year, I think in November. So my goal is to have both of these books read before that one comes out. Then I have this series. I think it's the If We Were series, or If We Are. I don't remember. But oh, If Love. That's what they're called. If Love. It's this series. I have books 1, 3. Yes, I have books 1, 3, and 4 because book 2 does not sound interesting to me. It's not books that I am interested in. So If We Ever Meet Again, If Love Had a Price, and If We Were Perfect. These are all contemporary romances. Again, I really like her writing. So these are the 3 books. Again, all 3 of those are unread. Then I have her Kings of Sins series. Technically, book 3 is a DNF, but I am not getting rid of it. It's just going to be marked as read in my collection, but I technically didn't finish it. The only 2 books that I have unread that I have not attempted to read at this time are King of Sloth and King of Envy. I think King of Greed comes... Nope. King of Greed is there. King of Lust? I don't know. Book 6 is coming out. Gluttony. That's what it is. King of Gluttony comes out, I think, in April. I think in about a month. As the time of filming this, and then the last book will probably come out once a year because that seems to be the release. So these 2 books I have also not read. Then I have Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I have not read that book. I got that from a low for your library, so the damage is not mine. Then I have End of Story by Kylie Scott. I have read that. In the Weeds by B.K. Borson. I have not read this one, but I did. I will be reading this within the next couple of months because it's the spring season, so I was waiting for that. And then to round out this book, I have Love at First Book by Jen McKinley. This one is also signed, I believe. Yeah, this one is also signed. I found this in a little free library. I have found out that she is a local author, so it's very possible that she put that in a little free library. So off of this shelf, we're going to have Editing Lex throw up a number on the screen of how many unread books that I have. So, okay, this is where it's going to get interesting because now I'm taller than my shelves, but that's fine. We're also at a weird angle because my dog's bed is here along with a bag of knitting supplies or like crochet supplies you will see in a bit, but I don't want to move my dog's bed. I've already displaced him enough. Oh, my yarn needs to go back on the top shelf. So this shelf is like my shelf of like favorites for the most part. Again, also this is a realistic look at how my shelves look at the time of filming this. So first off, I have The Score. This is an indie version that I found. at Half Price Books. So I had collected The Deal and the Mistake. These are all from the Off-Campus series by L. Kennedy. I had read these via Kindle and I really enjoyed them, so I wanted them physically. And I found The Deal and the Mistake at a I think a Goodwill, and I was like, you know what? These aren't the cartoon copies, which is what I was originally gonna get, but like also they were only like $1 or two each, so it was really hard to pass up. So I decided I would get the third book. I'm not gonna buy the fourth book in the series. I just 1, 2, and 3. Those are my favorites. And I do own like the ebooks of all of these, so I could, if I ever wanted to read them, I have them digitally. But I wanted the original person cover, and this happened to be the actual one of the first indie published versions of it. So I have that one all the way down here for height, next to the Graham Effect, and then where do I have it? Down here, the Dixon Rule. Yes, I know they're separated. Part of this is because of height. Yeah. So those are the next books in like the next generation. I have not read either of these books, so I do technically have unread books on the shelf. So those books are not read. However, I started the Graham Effect and then realized I really did want to read the spin-off series that is set in the same generation as the original series. So I read the original Off-Campus series. I'm currently reading the spin-off series, which is Briar U. Then I will be going to this next series. I don't remember what this one is called, but we will then go to that one. There's technically almost like a spinoff to the next gen series. I think that's like a solo book that is coming. I think next month. But I haven't read these yet. But I'm not canceling it because they're all standalones. Then this is my Casey McQuiston / Red, White, and Royal Blue collection that I have here. So I have my hardback edition of Red, White, and Royal Blue. Then this is one of my favorite things that I have. So this is Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. I forget specifically what edition these are called, but Centennial editions. The reason why I have this is because in the movie, Prince Harry's character, or not Prince Harry, that is the character, Prince Henry. So Nicholas's character, Prince Henry, he is reading this book in the movie. There's like a scene, kind of like a time lapse of them talking and whatnot, and he's sitting on a park bench reading a book. And I was determined to figure out what book it was, and I found out it was this book. It was Great Expectations in this edition, and I managed to track it down, and I actually got it really cheap off of Amazon, secondhand. And so I'm really happy. So this is a collector piece. If I ever want to read this book, I'm not counting this as unread on my shelf because this is kind of like a collector piece. If I ever wanted to read this book, I would not read this edition. That is one that would just stay there. Then I have Howard's End by E.M. Forster. Again, this is kind of a collector's piece. I do want to give this one a shot. However, this again was a book that was in the movie. So those are, again, collector pieces. Red, White, and Royal Blue is one of my all-time favorite books. So that is why I have a little bit of a collection. Then this is Red, White, and Royal Blue. My very first edition, copy of this. Okay, just my photo card falling. My very first edition of this series, my original copy, I had lent to a friend, and I decided I wanted to annotate, have an annotated copy. And so I bought a second edition, so that way, if I didn't end up liking it, it didn't ruin my original copy. However, my original copy did end up accidentally getting ruined anyways, which is fine. I have no hard feelings about it. Things happen and whatnot. And so, yeah, this is the original copy that I have, and it's all annotated and written in, and I just absolutely love this copy, and I have it facing out because it makes me happy. Then we're gonna go up here real quick. I have Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. This usually lives in my bedroom, on my bookshelf, on my dresser. I have a stack of a few books, and this usually lives there. However, I need to prioritize this book, and if it is in my room where it's harder to get access to versus just grabbing it off my bookshelves, I'm gonna struggle to read it. So it is currently just living on my bookshelves, just randomly, on top of books or on the shelves themselves to read it. But yes, I have Nevessa Allen. This I have not read. So again, we'll count that in the count of unread books for the shelf when we get here. And then these two editions of Red, White, and Royal Blue are special edition, in different languages. So this is my Korean edition, and this is my Spanish version. And the reason why I have these, I do kind of still really want the French edition, which I believe is called My Fucking Prince. partly because of that, partly because of the cover. It's just really pretty. However, I have to spend like $100 to get that one, so that one's just really hard to justify price-wise when I have so many other books and I already have so many editions of this book. The reason why I could justify these books, the Korean and the Spanish, is because I took 8 years of Spanish. And I was fairly okay with it. My goal is to eventually get back to being fluent enough to be able to read my favorite books in other languages. That is a goal that I have. Spanish, because I took 8 years of Spanish, I have the bases there. I just am very rusty, and so I just need to brush up on it. I think this one, and then Korean, because I'm also teaching myself Korean, and so I would like to one day be able to read. This would be a really good judge of how am I doing with my learning Korean. This book I had to buy off a website that was completely in Korean. It was from the US. There's a US like location for the store. It's like in California, but the website was completely in Korean. I didn't even know anything about Hangul at the time, so that one was a journey to get that one here. So yes, but technically these ones are unread. But we're not, I have read the original, I just haven't read them in a different language, so those are still read. Then I have Casey McQuiston's The Pairing. I have read this one. Really enjoyed it at the time. I don't know if I'm going to ever reread it because that one is a little bit spicier. Then I have my collection of Sarah Resch books. I absolutely love her books. I have reread The Nightmare Before Christmas, and again, I have also tabbed this up and annotated it and written in it, and again, this might, I think at this point, this one might be my favorite book of all time. Absolutely love it. Then I had the sequel, Go Luck Yourself. I'm going to be rereading that this month. The Entanglement of Rival Wizards, read this last year. Absolutely loved it. The sequel to this is coming out later this year. Then, like I said, we've talked about my L. Kennedy books. Then we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So I absolutely really enjoyed this book. I have not read books 2 or 3 yet. I don't own them. I'm going to be honest, mostly of why it's on this shelf is because I have a ton of extra space, and I was running out of space on the other shelves, and this is just how it looked pretty. Then I have my collection of Sarah J. Maas books. It's just basically A Court of Thorns and Roses. I have books 1, 2, 3, and 4. I do not have book 3.5. I didn't like book 3.5, and I thought it was pointless to keep because I knew I would never reread it, so I got rid of it. So yes. Then I have my Kindle, and then this book right here, I believe, is my book that I am using for my Korean that I'm learning with the book that's up here on the shelf. Then this is my notebook that I use to keep track of like all of my books that I've read, my song of the day, my challenges that I have going on, etc., etc. This is the book that I have for that. And then I have my annotating supplies and highlighters and pens and all that. They do live on my bookshelf full time. I'm not going to joke and be like, oh, I'm super sick. No, this is how they live. And then I have over here my little counter. It's a little hard to see at this angle, but I have my little counter. So I have read, as of this point, 10 books. And it came with a little free chicken, so my little chicken just looks like. But yeah, that is that shelf. Let's move on. Alrighty, we're back. I had to take a break because I ran out of space on my storage. So we're back. So this shelf here, this is my little book nook. This is my first book nook that I made. This one involved a lot of glue and scissors to put together. Or not scissors, tweezers. But this is my like collection shelf. So like this entire shelf is like collector pieces. Technically speaking, most of these are like would be unread, but again, these are collector ones, so I don't worry about it. Also, like I said, my shelves are lived in realisticness and whatnot. I did move my TV remote up here. It was down here earlier. Again, my child knows how to use the remote, and so we like to just typically keep it out of reach. This plant that originally was on my TV stand, and then when she was really little, managed to like break this succulent piece into 2 parts, and so I just shoved them back together and then put it up here out of reach. At this point, I could probably put it back, but I just have it. It's lived here for like 3 years now, and it's probably going to continue to live here. And then I have some nail care supplies because I do my nails when I am downstairs. And so they just live here, plus my nail oil. I have one upstairs as well. And then my external hard drive. This is what I put all of my videos onto and edit off of. And I've just realized it makes more sense for me for it to live down here. So it lives on my bookshelf instead of me having to go upstairs and bug my husband every time I need it because it's in the office. So it lives here. But these are my shelves. So these books over here, these are all read. Very, very well read. These are my Max Lucado books that are from my childhood. So I have You Are Special, All You Ever Need, Because I love you, with you all the way, and just the way you are. So these are my books from when I was a kid, that I managed to keep, all the way into adulthood. These books here are these 5. So these are the ones, I've talked about them a little bit on my channel. I bought these as souvenirs when we were in Paris. This past year around like October, like Halloween time. And these are special because you'll see some down here. These ones are books that are in French that I bought in France. And so, of course, I had to buy the Beauty and the Beast because it is a French story. So buying Beauty and the Beast in French in France was just really cool. And so these are just beautiful editions of these books. I did buy these all while I was in Disney. Got illustrations and art and whatnot in them. So I have the Beauty and the Beast. Then I have The Nightmare Before Christmas, and then these 3 are my daughter's, for when she's older. These will eventually move with her, if she would like to take them, because these are her books. But we have, and these are her 3 favorite stories at the time of when we went to the trip, which is why we got these ones. So we have Lilo and Stitch, Frozen, and Moana. Then these 2 books, these are from my mom's childhood. They were living in a cedar chest and like at her house collecting dust and not being seen and loved. And so I wanted these to be displayed in my bookshelves, and my mom let me take them. And so we have these Hans Christian Andersen like fairy tale collections. I think they're books like 1 and 2. And these are just, these are my mom's. These are from like the 70s, I believe, is when these particular, that's 84. So she got them in 1984, like her and her brother. So they're cute. I really like them, and I'm glad to have them as collector pieces in my collection. Then I have Where the Sidewalk Ends and Everything on It by Shel Silverstein. This is a like collection of poems basically that I read like as a kid, and I really liked it. And then when I had adult money, I was able to buy a pretty, I think this is Barnes & Noble edition. Then this Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass story. This one is, this is my second one, because the other one I bought when, I was pregnant and whatnot. This one is, again, also my mom's, along with this, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. And I found these out afterwards, but these are just absolutely stunning. They are also still in the slipcases. I don't ever have any intentions of reading these physical copies. But these, again, are collector pieces that I keep. Then I have The Secret Garden and Little Women. These are the Paper Mills Press, like cloth-bound editions. So I have bought these as souvenirs, or like not souvenirs, but collectors. When I was a kid, I really, I think it was like 6th grade. Yeah, it was 6th grade. I went through a phase of loving classics. And I remember, I have not reread it as an adult, but I do vividly remember loving The Secret Garden. It was one of my favorites by Frances Hodgson Burnett. So I have that. And then I have Little Women. And then again, at the same Goodwill trip that I found the really weird, like 1930s independently published science-y hairdresser book or whatever that I talked about previously. I found this edition of Little Men, which a lot of people didn't know existed. And it's basically kind of like a sequel spinoff to Little Women. And people just didn't know it existed. And I thought it was really cool. And I knew about it because, I went through my phase. This particular edition, I think it's from the 80s or the 50s. I can't remember fully. But yes, that is my little collector piece. So that's on this half. Part of these are by height and whatnot, and just also what looks good. Then I have this edition of The Hobbit. I think I found, and these books right here. These are all by J.R. Tolkien. I think I found this at a Goodwill or something, but I do remember buying these 3 editions of Lord of the Rings. I actually found out a little free library, silk covered in plastic, and so they are just really pretty editions. And so I just really like these covers. They're also kind of like simple. And so they now live on my collector's shelves. I will eventually read these, but just not right now. We're going to keep that here. Then I have this copy of Dracula, and I have this collection of stories from Edgar Allan Poe. These are also Barnes & Noble's, kind of like cloth-bound books. They're like a weird kind of, not suede material, but I don't know what it's almost like a faux leather of sorts. I don't know, but I really love it. Then going back to more of the books that I have that I bought in our trip to Europe. So this Ali Hazelwood book is Italian, I believe. Yes. So this is I bought it when we were in these two books I bought specifically when we were at the airport. But we went to Italy for a while, and the only time we were anywhere near books was the airport. And so while we were there, I found this version of, this is Mate by Ali Hazelwood, which you have not seen my regular edition yet, but you will see that soon. But this is the Italian version that I bought when I was in Italy. So like as a souvenir, even if I don't love this story and it's not a favorite of all time, this version of the story I will always have. Same thing with this copy of Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. So we had a layover in Amsterdam. And so we didn't even like leave the airport, but I just thought it was really cool and I wanted to get a book for a souvenir because we were in Amsterdam. Because again, I buy books to read, but also to have as like actual collector pieces. I know this is technically not worth anything, but to me it is, and it's a memory and whatnot. So this is from Amsterdam, which I believe means it's in Dutch, but also like that's the title in the, I believe, Dutch language, but obviously you can see the English title. And then also this book is just stunning. That's the naked hardback. It is much prettier than my edition of Onyx Storm, which is at least like hardcover wise, which is on the shelf below, which you will see. So again, that is a collector piece. I will never be getting rid of that. That is one that just will live forever. Then I have, we're going to move my nail file. Then I have The Great Gatsby, and again, in that same Paper Mills collector piece. I could have it like over here with these ones, but I like it over here with the black. It looks pretty. It looks aesthetic. And then I had The Outsiders. This is the 50th anniversary edition. This was a book that I had read in middle school or whatnot that I enjoyed. I watched the movie. I actually rewatched the movie as an adult, I think during the pandemic or around that time frame. And so this 50th edition came out, like the leather jacket, and I thought it was really cool. And so I bought it, and I'm really happy. And like, it's also like much shorter than you would think. It's only like 180 pages. That's it. It's only 180 pages. So super quick. I'll probably actually reread it again. I like to reread books. And then we're going to move my chair so I can get these two out. I have a area in my state, like within driving distance, where we have an Asian market, or I think they call it the Asian district, and they have a discount like used bookstore, where you can buy and sell and whatnot. And they have a lot of it's in English, but they do have sections of books in Asian languages because it is in the Asian district. And so these are books that these are mangas that are in Japanese. So I have volume 7 of My Hero Academia because that was actually one of the first like animes that I got into, and I've actually read a good chunk of the mangas. I have not continued on, but I chose specifically volume 7 because Azawa is on the spine, and he is like my favorite character, or one of, and so I just thought it was really cool to have that. But yes, this one is in Japanese. Also, the fact that like Japanese, like this is a paperback, and there's still like a dust jacket like on it. It's just super cool to me. But you can see like that is in Japanese. That is not English. And so I have that, and then I also have the first edition of One Piece. This is volume 1, and this is again also in Japanese. So I just thought these were really cool, and I don't know if I will ever read these ones. I would like to. Japanese is on my list of languages that I would like to learn, but it's currently not the priority because the priority is getting myself up to date with the Spanish. Oops. And then learning Korean. And I am not about to be learning 2 different Asian languages at the same time. It's kind of like the issue that I ran into when I was in 5th grade trying to learn Spanish and French at the same time is I just cannot have languages that sound too similar to my ears. I cannot be learning them at the same time. Spanish and Korean sound very different to my ears. And so that's why, and they have like very different like alphabets and whatnot. And so that's why I can learn those and practice those at the same time. Whereas like Japanese and whatnot, like those, I have to learn characters. It's not just like, you know, the N with the N with the little swiggle on top or whatever, the tilde or whatever. It's like, you know, it's basically still the same letters of the English alphabet. But either way, that's neither here nor there. Eventually, it would be cool to be able to read those, but that's not a priority. But again, this is my collector shelf. This is the shelf that, like, if there is technically anything on here that is unread, I don't count it as unread. So here's that. We're going to go on to another shelf now. Okay, I moved my dog's bed, so that way I could actually get to these shelves a little bit better because now we're getting shorter. So this is one of my predominantly like romance shelves. So this is another little book nook. Let's see if I can turn this on. This is my little Lego one that I have here. I built this year. Absolutely love it. It's super cute. But yes, this is predominantly romance. In some way, shape, or form, I do believe all of these are romance. This is where my TBR really starts to pick in, is in these next like 4 shelves. So from Taylor Jenkins Reid, I have One True Loves and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. One True Loves, I think I bought. I'm pretty sure I bought this one, but The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I did find that one at a little free library. I have heard great things about it, so I do want to read this, and then I would like to return this one back. And part of it is just the state of the book. And if I want to keep it, I will probably buy a new one, but we'll see about that. Then next up we have The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. The Dead Romantics is talked about on this one. I have technically read The Dead Romantics by her, but DNF'd it. So I'm hesitant about this one. I've heard that, you know, better things about this one, that more people like this one, so I'm excited for that. Also, you will see, if you see like in the back, all these colorful tabs. So I put tabs on every 25 pages of all the books that I haven't read, because when I'm reading physically, it's just a really good motivator to be able to like get to the next chunk if I'm like kind of like slogging and struggling to read physically. This is a tip that I saw and it works. And also, like, I'm just very careful with how I put them on, and I will, like, if they're super sticky, I will like take them on my skin a few times, take some of that stickiness off before I put them on the pages. Next up I had The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I've heard really good things about that one. You will see romance, romantasy, and fantasy of sorts. Those are kind of like my predominant genres, really, with romance and romantasy. Then I have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I believe this is the first one in like a trilogy or whatnot, which is why I have that one. I do have more books that I would like to, like, I have a lot of her books like on my like wish list to buy, but I'm not buying them until I've read them. So then I have The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. This is a book that's kind of almost like on a self-destruct. I've attempted, like, I've gotten this from my library multiple times and haven't read it, and I don't know why. So that is one that if I have not attempted to read it by the end of the year, I may be unhauling that, but I really don't want to. I really want to read it. Next up, I have The Love Con by Saracia Glass. I have read that one, really enjoyed that one. Then I have my 2 Emily Henry books. I have Book Lovers and Beach Read. I have not read either of these. Unfortunately, you can see since I have 2 of them, this was before I had my rule in place of I am only buying 1 book by the author until I have at least read a book and enjoyed it, because I don't want it to be like, if like, what if I absolutely hate Emily Henry's reading style, then I have 2 books that I have to unhaul instead of just 1. So unfortunately, that is one of the few books that I have left. My Travis Baldry's Legends and Latte series, have read that. I've read A River of Golden Bones by A.K. Mulford. Roll for Romance. I'm showing this because technically, actually, I can remove these tabs. I'm like halfway through this book right now. This is my current audiobook. It is a D&D romance. I'm really enjoying it right now. And then I have Violet Thistlewaite is Not a Villain Anymore by Emily Krempholtz. I have not read this one yet. However, this is on my March TBR, so hopefully I will be reading this soon. Let's see if I can get this book in here. Haha, I can. Bride by Ali. Now I have basically, this is like, these could be on my favorites shelf, but like for space, I'm like running out and I have a lot of them. So this is now my Ali Hazelwood section. I've read Bride. I have not read Mate, so this is my regular edition that I pre-ordered, and for some reason haven't read it yet, so we're not going to talk about it. I've read Love on the Brain, read Love Hypothesis. I have not read Love Theoretically. I am a little concerned about this one, just because I've heard mixed things about this one, that it's not people's favorites. Then I have Check and Mate. This is her YA one. So again, really hesitant about it, but I am hopeful because I do like her other books. I'm hopeful that I will like this one. And then the last one by Ali Hazelwood that I haven't read is Loath to Love You. This is the collection of 3 STEM novellas. And so I have this one actually marked, I think by color, like when it starts and whatnot. I really want to read this one because if I don't like, because I'm really hesitant with novellas and short story, like more so like short stories and whatnot, where it's just, I kind of struggle with them. So that may be one that may be like unhauled. We'll see. But those are my Ali Hazelwood books. Then I have my Lana Ferguson section. I've read The Fake Mate. I have started The Game Changer. Ooh, I have a photo card in here. So, oh, Bang Chen. Yes, I use my photo cards as bookmarks. To be fair, this is also technically a Lomo card, so you can't get mad at me. But I have The Game Changer. I started this one via audiobook and then ran out of time before it was due and it got returned. So I do have the audiobook reserved, as well as the Mating Game audiobook, because I would like to finish these books. I really enjoyed them. For some reason, I'm just struggling picking them up physically. The Mating Game is like those were in the wrong order because the Mating Game should have been next to The Fake Mate, because this is kind of like set in the same world. The Mating Game I did start reading physically, but again, I'm struggling with reading some books physically, so I do have this one reserved via audiobook. Hopefully I get these 2 soon. But again, these are 2 Lana Ferguson books that I am currently technically in the middle of, have not read those in a while. And then I have The Captive Prince by C.S. Pacat. I've not read this one. This one I got from my friend who I lent the Red, White, and Royal Blue book to. She wanted to replace the book of sorts. And the specific edition that I had of Red, White, and Royal Blue, they didn't sell that specific one anymore. And it's just because now they have the little step out, I think is what they're called, where like the front page is technically shorter, so you see the page in the back. And so that was the only one left. And so I said, you know what, like if you want to, you can buy me another one. I don't care. Or you can buy me another book. Makes no difference to me, but if you do want to buy me another book, here are the books that I have on my wish list. And she chose this one because she thought it sounded interesting and she wanted to know my opinions on it, to know whether or not she should read it. So, all right, now we are on to this shelf, which is like all hardbacks, a very like just descending heights. So this book is called S. It is by J. Abrams, and yeah, J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorset. I have not opened it yet, which is why it is still sealed here. But this is, you know, kind of like a book within a book of sorts. And there's a lot of mixed media and like there's like photos and whatnot that comes in that. So that's why I haven't opened it yet, but I'm really excited to read that. Haven't read it yet. Then I have The Scorpion and the Night Blossom by Amelie Wenjiao. I believe this is also YA. So I'm a little hesitant, but it sounded really good. So I'm hopeful for it. It's also shorter. So we're gonna read it and we're gonna see how it goes. Then I have my Fourth Wing books. So this is where my regular edition of, well, the first edition of Onyx Storm is. So I've read all those. I've read the Five Broken Blades trilogy. I don't know if that's what that's called, but I've read this trilogy. That series is actually done. So that's done. Then we have Abigail Owens. So The Games Gods Play. I've technically read this, but I want to reread it so that way I can reread it and then immediately go into the Things Gods Break. So technically only this one is unread, but I am going to reread this one. But for my counting, we are not going to count this one just because. Then Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I am also wanting to reread this one. But again, I have read it, so I'm not marking it as unread. And The Never List by Jade Presley is, again, another book that I want to reread before the sequel comes out. So the sequel to these 2 books, I believe, come out within the next, like, month or 2. Like, I think one comes out next month. I think Shield of Sparrows comes out next month. And then The Never List, I think, comes out in, like, April or May. So those are coming up soon. The 3rd book in this series or trilogy that comes out towards the end of the month, so I have time to read that one. I've read Sore Heart by T. Kingfisher, then Dragon Curse by Elise Kovet. This is unread, but I have attempted it. I started the audiobook, really was not vibing with it, so I stopped the audiobook and we're going to switch over to physically reading this. This one, I have plans to read it this month, but we'll see if I get there. We were Liars and the Hunger Games trilogy. These are all books from when I was younger / beginning of my booktube journey and whatnot. These are definitely, these ones could live up there with my like YA books and whatnot, but I ran out of space for those, so they live on my hardbacks because they just fit nicely. And then I have the first 5 books in the Every Heart a Doorway, or no, it's called the Wayward Children series. First book is Every Heart a Doorway. These are all by Shawnee McGuire. I have read these. I've actually read up through book 9, 9 or 10. I think it was 10. I actually owned all of them, and then I decided, because the last like few books that I had read, I was just really struggling with and kind of getting into a bit of reading slumps, and so I decided to stop reading the series. But I did really enjoy the first 5, so at the time, I do still have those 5, but there is a chance that I may eventually unhaul these. But for now, these are my hardbacks on my pretty hardback shelf. Also, if all of these numbers don't add up I will tell you at the end of this, I do have like a spinner wheel that I have a count of all of the books that I own that I have not read. So I will tell you the total number of books that I do own that are unread. But if the numbers don't match up with what is on my shelves versus what I own, that is because they are scattered throughout my house. But I think there's only a few. So I'm really hoping my math adds up, because I feel like right now I don't nearly have as many books missing as I can. Although this shelf above did have 17 unread books. So I'm hoping my math is mathing. I have The Spell Shot by Sarah Beth Durst. I have read that recently. Then I have the first 2 books in the Crowns of Nyaxia series by Krista Broadbent. I am also sitting on the floor. I'm going to get more comfortable. I have read both of those. I have read Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. First book that I have that is unread is The Dread Descendant by Lauren Kate Leake. This is one, the cover is just stunning. I love this cover. And I think there's also a second book already out. It sounds good. It sounds interesting. However, this, I believe, is like a dark romance, so I'm hesitant about it, but I do want to read it soon. Give it a shot. The next book I have is The Midnight Shift by Cheon Seon Ran. This is a Korean best-selling cult novel. I heard about this book from Gavin Reads It All. He specifically had this version. This is the UK version. I actually went to, I think it's called Books Please, where you can buy books from either US or the UK and have it shipped to your house. And so it was a little bit more, but I really liked this version. And so this is the version I wanted, especially over like the US version, which I think was only available in hardback, and it was bright pink. And I'm not a pink person, and I really liked this cover, so I just spent basically what would have been the same amount of money to get the UK paperback version. But I believe this is about like a vampire and whatnot, and so I love vampires as well, so I'm really excited about this one. I think this is a book that I'm going to try to read in April during my next round of my K-pop readathon, so I'm really excited about them. Then I have The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I've not read this either. This is the only like mystery thriller book that I have left on my shelves that I have not read, because I have basically discovered that for the most part I don't want to reread them, so I just have stopped buying them and whatnot. Then I have Well Actually by Maisie Eddings. This is a book that I saw at a local bookstore and I thought it sounded really cute and whatnot, and so I bought it. I think this one's about I think there's a radio host as one of the main characters. Then this is one of my romantasy books, Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ariel. I have heard, I believe it's from Becca and the Books, talk about this, like absolutely loved this. And so this is a book that I was really excited to get. Then they're out of order, but we're going to talk about them at the same time, because they're by the same authors. I have Circe and the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I have not read them yet. I really, really want to. These are high priorities for 2026 to read. I bought Circe by myself, I believe, and then I believe Song of Achilles was another book that my husband bought for me when he was on a friend's trip and I wasn't there. I think that might have been the Powell's book that he bought for me. So I'm really excited about that. All right, the next book that I have is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I think this is just a fantasy. I think this is straight up fantasy. I am really excited for it. Also, this cover is just gorgeous. It's beautiful. So I'm very excited to read that. Then you have Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. I have heard amazing things about this. I even know Lala from Books and Lala actually really enjoyed this series. This was her favorite book so far. I have heard that this is technically a spinoff of one of her other series, but I found that out after about this, or was at least reminded of it. But I have been told that you should be able to read this without, so we're hoping, fingers crossed. If not, then I guess I'm going to be reading those, and I say uh-oh for Lex for, the future. Then I have How to Lose a Goblin in 10 Days by Jessie Silva. This is one of my more recent books. I bought this on my birthday along with another book that I'll talk about here in a minute. I just thought it was really cute. It's about a goblin and a halfling. I think they're living together trying to get rid of the other for a property and whatnot. Then I have George Orwell's 1984. I bought this for $1 at a garage sale. I technically have read this before, I believe, when I was younger. And I have tried to reread this one, and I struggle with certain books, and this is one of them. However, this is a cult classic, and I feel like I should have it. So for now, it lives on my shelves. Eventually, I may get rid of it, but for now, I have it. And because I did have previously read this / this is a collector piece, we are not counting this in my read / not read. If We Were Villains by M.L. Real, I've read that one. Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall, I've read that one. The Royals Next Door by Karina Halley, I have also read that one. Next up I have is Wicked Onyx by Debbie Cassidy. This is actually the most recent book that I had pre-ordered and has come in. I have not read this yet, but it is highly, high up on my priority list. I do need to start reading that one very soon. Then I have The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This is the other book that I had bought on my birthday. Again, another kind of cozy fantasy, I think it's low stakes, but I'm very excited about this one as well. Then I have If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This was, I think, set in the 90s. Yeah, 1997. So I would have been a year old when that, if it was actually in 1997. So I've heard really good things about that one. So people just ranting and raving about that. So I bought that one. Very excited. Again, here's my Song of Achilles. We already talked about that. Then here are all of my Tessa Bailey books that I still have. I've read all of those. And then the last book that I have on here is also unread. It is the Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association by Caitlin Rouzakis. This is another book that I really, really want to read this year. I found it at Half Price Bookstore when I was, again, selling books. Pretty much, I think, right when it came out, and it just immediately caught my attention, and I thought it was super cute, and it sounded funny, and so I bought it, and so I cannot wait to read this, but this is a book that is definitely high up there on that priority list. So remember how I said I have a 3-year-old and these shelves are lived in? This is her section. You can see. So down here, this entire shelf are all of her books except this one down here, which is a epilepsy book that my dad is in and whatnot. So that, just for space wise, lives down here on the shelf. But otherwise, here, all of her books, it takes up the whole shelf. And these are just her books that are downstairs. These don't even include her books that are up in her room. And then she has some toys up here. And her little snow globe that we have, it alternates between this shelf and the shelf above. So I'm going to put it on the shelf above so I have a little bit of room. But this is a very hodgepodge shelf. So we're going to move the snowman down a little bit. So, okay, so I have Blood Over Brighthaven. We're going to also move Barbie. I have Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wang. I have heard amazing things about this, and that this is some people's favorite book of the year. I think it was last year when it came out, maybe the year before. And so, what was it? 2023? Oh, 2023. So apparently I've been hearing about it for a couple of years, but I just bought it last year, so I'm excited to read that one. Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. I have read that one. One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Also read that one. Never Over by Claire Gilmore. I found this at a little free library. Heard good things about it. When I was also at a local bookstore, I was talking about books with another patron, and she had actually heard good things about this one too, so that made me even more confident that it was a good book to grab from the little free library. So I'm excited for that one. Then I have Warrior Princess Assassin by Bridget Kemmerer. I have heard amazing things about this book for years. What year did this come out? Because I'm pretty sure that is when I started. 2025? There's no way this book is only from 2025. Is it rigid? I could have sworn I heard about this earlier. Maybe maybe people got it as a art copy in 2024, and that's when I started hearing good things, hearing about it. But I feel like I've been hearing about that for years, but I finally got it. I'm very excited. So the brief synopsis of that is you've got a princess or whatever, she's running away, and you have two people that are coming after her. And we get perspectives from all of their perspectives, but we don't know who is the warrior, the prince coming to protect her and whatnot, and the assassin there to kill her. I think this is also Why Choose, but either way, I'm very excited for this book. It's high on my priority list. This is actually, again, another one of my more recent books. This is the Book of Blood and Roses. This is sapphic. This is set in a like university, and it's got vampires, and it just sounds really good to me, and I'm very excited for it. Also, the cover is just, it's very cute. I do also want to read this before my best friend comes the middle of April, because if I don't like it, I'm going to give it to them to read, because they might. I've read all my Lore Olympus books by Rachel Smythe. Then I have read all of the Full Metal Alchemist. I've actually read the entire series, but I only have the first 5. I have read my manga versions of A Midsummer Night Romance and Othello, both by William Shakespeare, and the stories of Edgar Allan Poe. Then I had Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I have technically read this in high school, but I have not tried rereading it as an adult, but that is, again, kind of more a collector piece. Then we have the first 4 books in Hunter x Hunter. These are my husband's books. And then I have the first 3 books of Assassination Classroom. I have read these. I have actually read the entire series. But yeah. Okay, so this is what this shelf usually looks like. Yes, there's a giant bag. This is all yarn. This is my temperature blanket, plus a few knitting projects. So this lives here on the shelf, like you were, again, usually where my dog is sleeping. But we're going to move this out of the way. So this shelf is, again, all the rest of my hardbacks. We're going to move you a little closer now. Boop. Yes. So this is the last of my hardbacks that I have on these shelves. I mean, it's the last of the shelves. I typically, obviously, don't go to this shelf much. So a lot of these are collector pieces of sorts. So I have the complete edition of Sherlock Holmes. I've read one of the stories out of this collection. So, but this is also a collector piece. So, then I have The Divine Comedy by Dante. I technically started that and DNF'd it, so we're counting it as read. But these books are getting a little difficult. Then I have Brothers Grimm. That is, again, more so collectors. Greek Myths, Gods and Heroes. Again, more collections. The Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer. Unread. This is a collector piece. Sorry, it's covered in dog hair and dust and whatnot. But I do want to read both the Iliad and the Odyssey before the Odyssey movie comes out later this year. I need to figure out when that is so I can make sure I'm prioritizing both of those. Then I have 7 books from Jane Austen. It's a beautiful bind-up. So the books in here, let's see if I've got a quick list of what is in here. Okay, so in this bind-up, I have Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, Emma, Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, and Lady Susan. So those are the 7 books that I have here. I technically think I've read most of those, but not as an adult, but we're not going to count those. Illuminae and Gemina, I have read those. I just recently finished Gemina. I have read Quicksilver, but I have not read Brimstone by Callie Hart. This came out, really enjoyed Quicksilver, and then I was really excited when Brimstone came out. However, I've not read it because I've decided I want to reread Quicksilver. But again, I've read this, so we're not counting this as unread on this shelf. Then I have Never Keep by Carolyn Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. I have not read this. I have not actually even read the Zodiac Academy. From my understanding, I don't have to read the Zodiac Academy before I read this, but I do know it's set in the same world. But this is a book that a friend of mine, they sent me a package, and to kind of help fill space and whatnot, they threw that book in there. So I have that one. Then I have Dawn of the Darkest Day by Casey Woodruff. I saw this again at a local bookstore. This is an indie author. It sounded really interesting to me, so I went ahead and picked that up. And so I'm very excited about this. I don't think this one is signed, is it? No, it doesn't appear to be, but I'm excited to read it. I heard good things about it. It's got a pretty elf man on the back. So we're going to put there. And then I have Tusk Love by Thea Guanzon. I've heard mixed things about this, but I am excited for it. So it's from Critical Role, which is a like D&D campaign that's being filmed and posted online and whatnot. And one of the characters is obsessed with the story. And this is basically that story that was created from a fictional D&D campaign. Then I have The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson. This is a Nutcracker, I think, inspired or retelling. I'm torn on whether or not I want to keep this and read it. Either way, if I don't, it was from a little free library. I can easily return it. No hard feelings. And then the last thing that I have right here This is my collection of bookmarks. So like I said previously, I do use my photo cards as bookmarks as well. So this is all of the other bookmarks. I actually do want to film a bookmark collection video, just kind of going through all of them. I think that would be fun. Honestly, I probably could get rid of more because I have so many, but yes. All right, these are the 2 bookshelves that I have currently in my kitchen. This is my daughter's play kitchen and whatnot. The plan is to eventually, hopefully, we'll see how it works and whatnot, is to put another set of shelves up above these, and then 2 more shelves on an additional wall. But for now, these are the only ones that I have. Most of these are my husband's books, and I think there is not a single book in here that is unread. So we're gonna quickly go through all these. But we have this massive Batman Vault coffee table type book, plus all of my husband's comics that are not in frames. So most of them are Batman and or just DC in general. Then I have a sign language book that I just have. Unsolved Murders, it's a true crime book thing, it's really cool. Another coffee table type book. Then I have Superpowers and Corpies and Forging Hephaestus, all by Drew Hayes. I've read all of these. They're absolutely amazing. I do want to reread at least Superpowers. Actually, yeah, and Corpies. And then Forging Hephaestus, I need to continue on with the series. I think book 3 came out recently, but I need to read book 2. So, but I don't know those yet, so those don't count on my TBR. I've read Murder Your Employer by Rupert Holmes. It's technically called The McMaster's Guide to Homicide, Murder Your Employer. I've read that though. I've read The Writing Retreat, and I've read Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I've read these. Then we get to my husband's collection of books that comes all the way over here to Fahrenheit 451. That is another book that I read as a teen, but then also again as an adult. That is also a collector piece. So I have that one. I think that's also a 100th anniversary edition. 60th. Only 60th anniversary edition. It's apparently not 100 years old yet. No Exit, and then Ready Player One. Ready Player One and Ready Player Two are technically both my husband's. I really enjoyed Ready Player One, so I bought Ready Player Two. I did not enjoy it. I DNF'd it, but my husband loved it, so or at least he liked it, so we're keeping it. Then I have this huge bind up of all of Shakespeare's works, and so I got this at, oh my goodness, there was a massive bookstore that's in LA. It was on my bucket list, and we got to go visit it when we were there for a friend's wedding. My brain is blanking, but it's a massive one. It's but that's where I got this one. Then I have my childhood Bible, and then this book that we got from our church for a thing, and then that Bible is one that I got from Goodwill. It's really massive and pretty and whatnot, and so again, those are collector pieces. But yeah, those are all of my books. We're gonna take you in front of my normal books to do this outro. Alrighty, so those are all my books. Those are all of my bookshelves, all my unread books, at least on my main shelves. So Editing Lex will throw up a number now. Over here are all of the unread books that I have on my physical shelves. And then just in case, because I know there is a slight discrepancy, because there's at least 2 other books upstairs that I know of that are unread that I physically own, but I just don't want to take you into my bedroom and show you those. But here is the number of actual books that I physically own that are unread. I'm hoping there's only a few off, and if there is, then I guess I'm going to task Editing Lex with putting a black screen right here and then telling you which books are currently missing. But I'm hoping that it's only like 2 that I'm like thinking of. I have Phantasma, which is upstairs, and then Long Live Evil. So I'm hoping there's only a 2-digit discrepancy, but we'll figure that out. Either way, that is it for this video. If you guys liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up if you want. If you don't, that's cool too. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!